Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. So this will be the first video in a 2-video series of me imaging the elephant trunk nebula from my backyard here in Oslo. I thought it would be nice for you to see how I set up my imaging gear, how a imaging session runs through. I've been having some struggles with the off-axis guider, and I had a huge problem with my mount not guiding at all. So before we show the process of editing this image, which will come in part 2, I thought it would be nice just to show you guys what I ended up with. So before we got to the final image, I took a lot of 2 minutes exposures with my ASI 294 monochrome camera. This is HA, a single exposure. You can see both the panels, how they are framed. So there's a 10% overlapping edge on both of these. I stacked these together, getting not that one, but getting these 2 panels. So these are the final stacked panels that I registered to stitch my mosaic together. After they were registered, this is what I ended up with. So these 2 will align perfectly with each other and give me a final panel in HA and the other narrowband and broadband filters as well. So I ended up with 6 of these panels in HA, sulfur, oxygen, and red, green, and blue for the star colors. But the processing video will be another part. This video is all about how my imaging session went on. Showing you how I adjusted my off-axis guider and also how I figured out my problem with the mount not guiding correctly. So without further ado, let's just jump on in the backyard and see how everything is put up. So I think it's time to remove the cover from my mount. For this project, I've been using it's the Ioptron CM40 EC. It's my only mount so far, but it's been doing really well and been able to get a lot of nice round stars with it, along with my telescope. So, imaging the elephant trunk nebula as a 2-image mosaic. I had to do a mosaic, I think, because I felt it was a really close-up view when I was using my Newtonian. So, to get a bit more around the elephant trunk itself, framing it a little bit better, I went for a 2-image mosaic. Could be that I will image even more of it later to get an even wider field. Maybe even try to combine it with 80mm TS Optics photo line, but that's for another day to come. As I was talking a bit about earlier, I've been having some issues with the off-axis guider, so I'm actually going to try and put the mirror a bit closer in on the image circle, so I can maybe get a bit better stars eventually. And I'm just gonna loosen up the bolts holding it together to the camera right now. There we go. So once the camera is free, I can adjust the mirror itself just to get it a bit closer. It's like a small hexagon key or screw beneath it. It's just about finding the right size and loosen it a bit. I think that will make it easier for me to stay in good focus. Trying not to get too close to the image circle, so I put a shadow on the imaging sensor of my camera. So hopefully this will do the trick. There we go. Hopefully I will get a good guiding image with this setup. Okay, so I'm pretty much set up to start my imaging session. Next thing I will do is connect my cables to the computer and power up the mount and the power box so that everything has power. Okay, so I have connected my computer. Just gonna turn on the power and start up my programs here on the computer. Power on the mount would be a good thing to do. There we go. I'm just opening N.I.N.A and Stellarium at the same time. It's pretty good to have both of those up, even though I have already stored the sequence that I'm going to use. But I like to see how far we are away before I can start imaging. So this is the target for tonight, Elephant Trunk Nebula. And I'm gonna imaging with the TS optics, and you can see the outlines here on how it's supposed to be. And that's why I wanted to do a 2-image mosaic so I could get a better shot of everything around it as well. It's a really super cool target to image. There's a lot of different gases floating around there. So we're just gonna connect everything. While everything is connecting, okay, communication failure. Oh yeah, that might be right. Start up the, yeah, let's go close all. Sorry N.I.N.A, I have to start the power box. Selected port does not exist. Okay, so let's see in the config what port comes up here. Auto select, yeah. It's no wonder that those are not coming up, because while imaging or while filming I have forgot to put in the power. So once we got the power and the USB to go to the computer, I think we should be good to go. I mean, that's the nice thing with having your own backyard to image. You can pretty much fail-proof yourself by being there. Okay, so we got connected. Let's go up a notch and open up N.I.N.A again. Disconnect all devices, okay. Connect all devices, okay. And now everything should be loading according to plan. There we go. So just start by cooling the camera. I'm just cooling it to minus 10 degrees Celsius. Just simply because I haven't bothered taking dark frames at a lower temperature, even though I think I should be perfectly fine cooling it to 15 or 20 degrees when the winter is starting to come, but I don't think that matters all that much for me at the moment. I'm not there that I'm producing that high quality images yet, but eventually we'll get there. So I'm gonna check my mount panel. I'm not gonna have this in full screen. Just go down on that one. GPS okay. It doesn't know where it is, so I'm gonna tell it to be in the 0 position. That will make it easier for N.I.N.A to slew the telescope and find out where we're going. So let's go to the imaging tab and see if we actually can start polar alignment already. I'm not sure that we will be able to do it quite yet. The sun has just settled, so we'll see what we get with a 2-second exposure here. We're gain at 120 and we're binning 2x2. Wow, it's the cool thing when you're looking up in the sky and you don't see. Okay, yeah. If I look very closely, I can actually start to see some stars. So sure, this should be good enough for the polar alignment, I would guess. We can try. I start from the current position. I'm using the L filter, 3-second exposure, spin 2x2, and just go ahead and start. The focus looked good on this image, so I don't bother doing anything with that. And it's slewing and getting the polar or the information on where it is. So it looks good. It's doing the image solving. I really like this 3-point polar alignment feature in N.I.N.A. It's not perfectly as good as drift alignment or anything, but it does the job. Once you get it below 1 arc minute, or maybe even like in the low arc seconds error, you are usually good to go. If you do a guide assistant, you will probably see that you are like 3 arc minutes, maybe 5 arc minutes off from a good polar alignment. So let's go and get some Allen keys so I can adjust my scope. I'm gonna start doing the move left, the azimuth error. There are adjustment knobs on this mount, but I find it easier to just use an Allen key. There are Allen bolts in the middle of the adjustment knobs that you can use. So when it tells me to adjust left, I have to loosen the left side and tighten the right side. That's how this is set up. So really fine tuning once you get below that 5 arc minute limit. The fun thing is also, while you're getting closer, you can see that the altitude knob is actually getting closer as well. So nothing has changed that much since I was using it. And that's nice to know. It has a good position on the ground, so it's sturdy. And yeah, if you're still watching this video, why don't you leave a comment in the comment section on how good of a polar alignment you're aiming for when you're doing astrophotography. Would be nice to know what everybody out there elsewhere is thinking, and how perfect they want it to be until they find it good enough for imaging. Yeah, I think we should say that this is really good for now. I'm not gonna bother adjusting anything else, so 2 arc seconds, that's perfectly fine. I would take that any day. Yeah, okay. So I can see that the stars are not really good, and that's perfectly fine because I've been messing with my off-axis guider, and that was one of the main things I wanted to do tonight, was get as good as a star profile as I can with this. So I'm simply just gonna pull it a bit out and see how that works. Actually looks like I am not getting close enough, and I think I can fix that by pulling my guide camera a bit closer, but that also means that I need to get the Allen key. So back to the kitchen. So I had to pull out the flashlight as well. I mean that this should pull the star closer. I'm just going by a really small amount. There's like maybe 1 millimeter, not even that. There we go, starting to get somewhere, I think. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna lock it right there. And okay, so the battery on the camera got exhausted or used, I don't know, maybe it was low on battery. But let's zoom in here in PhD 2. Check out this little guide star. This is the cleanest and most perfect guide star I have ever seen with my off-axis guider. So I'm super excited. This is just awesome. There's a lot of drift going on, but the telescope ain't tracking as well, so that doesn't really matter much. Perfect. Let's check out in Stellarium if there is something cool we can image while we are waiting on the elephant trunk to get closer. I have done the Crescent Nebula, I've done the butterfly. I was doing some frames on the Pinwheel Galaxy, so I think, but since that is located a bit towards the city center, I'm not sure how good that will be, but we can try and frame it up and see. Just gonna go to the image sequencer. Here's the elephant mosaic that I've been working on. Oh, I actually think I was imaging, let me see. I was actually imaging the NGC 6823. That's a pretty cool target, so maybe I should load that one instead. 6823, because that's pretty good for me to image right now. This looks like a mini version of the Eagle Nebula or something. That's at least what I'm thinking. So yeah, I'm gonna slew up to that one and see how that works. Here's the frame of the mini Eagle Nebula, what I would call it. I want it to be pretty much in the center, so I'm just gonna add that target to the simple sequencer. It will show up with the elephant trunk nebulas that I got. I'm gonna reset all the rows on the elephant trunk mosaic. Yes, and I'm gonna take this one and move it to the beginning, so it will start with this object. I'm gonna say slew, center, and start guiding on the beginning. I want autofocus to run on the start and after 60 minutes. There we go. I'm still using the simple sequencer because I haven't really got a hang of the new one yet, or the advanced one. But there's a lot of great tutorials out there, so be sure to check them out. So I have gotten about, yeah, RGB. So 120 seconds on the narrow band and 30. I think I got enough for the stars, so I'm just gonna go and choose 120 here. Filter will be HA, binning will be 2x2. Total of 1 doesn't matter because I'm looping, so just gonna copy that one and change it to oxygen, tree, and sulfur. And I'm gonna say that I want to loop, and I want to take, we can start with 1.5 hours, I think. Should be good. Or 1.5 hours, I mean 3 hours. Then it will be the elephant, and I'm closing the RGB because I don't want to use RGB when I'm imaging tonight. I want to focus on the narrow band. even though it's a pretty good night to image stars as well, because the moon is really not that full. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. Great, let's just go with maybe 30 of each, and hopefully I will be able to image all night long. I think it's still a bit early to start imaging, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I want to start and just keep going all night long. So thanks a lot for hanging on there so long. Really appreciate it. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up on this one. In the comment section you can leave a comment if there's something you want to ask me, and let's see how this image turns out. So after I started the imaging session, I noticed that the RA axis wasn't guiding at all, or it didn't take guide pulses to my mount. So I had a really hard time figuring out what went wrong. I connected everything again, restarted the sequence and everything, but eventually I figured out one last thing I hadn't tried. Okay, so I just have to shoot this quick video with my cell phone. I've been having huge issues with my guiding. It looks like the mount wasn't moving at all and the stars just went out of frame at once. So what I ended up doing was doing an auto calibrate on PhD2, and now everything is working fine. You learn while you live. So, as the imaging night went on, N.I.N.A did its job, guiding was working good. I ended up getting maybe like 10 frames on NGC 6823. And once that was done, N.I.N.A slewed and centered on the Elephant Trunk Nebula, and I started doing my 2-panel imaging session. So I ended up with maybe like 6 hours of astrophotography on that night. That's really nice. It's not often you get such good clear weather early in the fall, but we were pretty lucky. So thanks a lot for watching this long video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I thought it would be nice to put a perspective on how an imaging night is, and how everything is done here in at least my backyard in Oslo. So stay tuned for part 2, where I will be sharing my editing process of the Elephant Trunk Nebula and show you the final image at the end. Until then, clear skies and keep looking up in the night sky.